You might not want to admit it, but when you think of bats, your mind goes to blood-sucking creatures of the night. You've probably seen some horror movies that put bats in a very bad light. But did you know that these flying mammals are much more fascinating than their on-screen portrayal? Welcome back. I'm here, and today we will be telling you some amazing bat facts you probably never knew you needed. Make sure to watch until the end because there is one fact that even scientists don't really understand. So, make sure to watch until the end because there is one fact that even scientists don't really understand. Before we begin, be sure to hit that like button for more videos like this one. Let's get started. Bats can't see in the dark. A lot of people assume that bats can see really well in the dark, but they actually see just about as well as you do. They have eyes that are adapted to seeing in low light conditions, but they cannot see in complete darkness. Instead, bats use echolocation to find their way around. Echolocation is a biological sonar, which helps them navigate and find food even when they can't see. All bats use echolocation, but they're not the only ones. Some other animals like dolphins and whales also use echolocation. It works by emitting high-pitched sounds too high for humans to hear, and then listening for the echoes to determine where objects are located. Every creature makes its own unique sound, and the bat can tell what animal it is by the sound it makes. For example, if a cricket makes a sound, the bat knows that it is a cricket before even seeing it. If you would like to hear the sounds that bats make, I will leave a link in the description box below so you can listen to the different sounds. In case you want to give it a try yourself, there are special recorders that can pick up the frequencies used by bats. You can use these to communicate with bats, and you'll be surprised by how much they respond. There are many different types of bats. Although a lot of people imagine bats as small brown creatures with long snouts and big ears, there are over 1,400 species of bats worldwide. They come in all shapes and sizes. One of the smallest bats in the world is Kitty's hog-nosed bat. These bats are only 29 millimeters long and weigh less than 2 grams. On the other hand, the largest bat in the world is the flying fox. These bats can have a wingspan of up to 1.4 meters and weigh over 1.6 kilograms. As for the longest living bat, that title belongs to the Brandt's bat. These bats typically live between 40 to 60 years, although one was spotted at 83 years old. Now, you may wonder, why do bats have such different shapes and sizes? Well, bats evolved from shrew-like ancestors that lived in trees. As time passed, some bats specialized in catching insects while others started eating fruit. The size of their bodies is related to their diet. Small bats eat lots of insects, so they need to be agile enough to chase them around. Big bats eat fruit, so they don't need to be as quick and can afford to have bigger bodies. Not all bats are nocturnal. Even though you probably think that bats only come out at night, most are actually active during the day. Only about 20% of bat species are nocturnal. The rest are either diurnal or crepuscular. Diurnal bats are active during the day and often live in hot climates. They sleep during the hottest hours of the day and forage for food in the morning and evening when temperatures are cooler. Crepuscular bats are active at dawn and dusk, so even though you may not see them, they're still out and about. Now you might wonder, why aren't nocturnal bats active during the day? Well, it has to do with their food source. Nocturnal bats typically feed on nocturnal insects. This means that they have plenty of food at night and don't have to worry about competition from diurnal bats. This is also why nocturnal bats often have better echolocation abilities. They need to be able to find food in the dark after all. Bats use their sense of smell to find food. Although bats primarily use echolocation to find food, they also use their sense of smell. Some bats have a highly developed sense of smell, which they use to track down ripe fruit. This is especially important for fruit bats, who need to find fruit quickly in order to stay healthy. Fruit bats are the only bats that rely solely on their sense of smell to find food. Other bats use a combination of echolocation and their sense of smell. For example, insect-eating bats can use echolocation to find insects, but then use their sense of smell to track down the nearest flowers where the insects are likely to be found. This allows them to conserve energy and find food more efficiently. Bats are social creatures. Most bats are social creatures who live in groups called colonies. The size of these colonies can vary greatly, from a few dozen to several thousand bats. Some bat species are even known to have super colonies with millions of bats. Now you might wonder, why do bats live in colonies? Well, there are many benefits to living in a group. For one, bats can rely on each other for protection. When there is a predator around, bats can rely on each other to give an early warning call. This allows them to escape quickly and safely. Living in a colony also allows bats to share information about food sources. When one bat finds a good source of food, it can call the other bats in the colony and they can all go there together. This allows them to get more food more quickly. Bats groom themselves. Just like cats and dogs, bats groom themselves by licking their fur. However, they also use a special technique called dusting. Dusting is when bats roll around in a pile of dirt or ash. This helps them remove parasites and keep their fur clean and healthy. Some bats even travel to special sites where they can dust themselves. These sites are often near cliffs or caves, where the wind can help spread the dust around. Dusting is not only important for hygiene, but it can also help protect bats from sunburn. Some bats are covered in fur, but others have little to no body hair. These bats are more susceptible to sunburn, so they take extra care to cover themselves in dust. Bats help plants reproduce. Bats are important for the reproduction of many plant species. This is because bats are responsible for pollinating many plants. When bats fly from flower to flower, they pick up pollen on their fur. This pollen can then fall off onto other flowers, helping them to reproduce. Some plants rely solely on bats for pollination, meaning that without bats, these plants would not be able to reproduce. These plants often have special adaptations that make them attractive to bats. For example, some plants have hairy stems or leaves that help direct bats towards their flowers. Others have a strong, musky odor that attracts bats. By working together, bats and plants help each other survive. Bats are important for the environment. As we mentioned earlier, bats are important for plants because they help pollinate them. This helps plants reproduce and grow, which is important for the environment. Bats are also important for the environment because they eat lots of insects. In fact, bats are responsible for eating billions of insects each year. This helps control insect populations and prevent them from becoming a nuisance. Some insects can carry diseases that are harmful to humans, so bats help us stay healthy by eating these insects. Bats are endangered. Sadly, bats are currently facing many threats. This is mainly due to human activity. For example, bats are often killed by wind turbines, cars, and buildings. They are also often killed by insecticides, which are meant to kill insects but can also harm bats. All of these threats have led to a decline in bat populations all over the world. This is a problem because bats are an important part of the ecosystem. As we mentioned earlier, bats help plants reproduce, and they also help control insect populations. When bat populations decline, this can lead to an increase in insect populations and a decrease in plant diversity. We don't know how bats sleep. As we mentioned earlier, bats sleep during the day. However, we don't really understand how they sleep. This is because bats can fall asleep anywhere and anytime. They can't seem to get enough sleep, so they often take naps throughout the day. Scientists have been trying to understand how bats sleep, but they haven't come to any conclusions yet. Some scientists believe that bats sleep in a state of suspended animation. This is a state in which their metabolism slows down, and they enter a deep sleep. This could allow them to conserve energy and survive for long periods of time without food. However, there is no evidence to support this theory. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and comment your favorite fact about bats. Also, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already so you won't miss our upcoming videos. Thanks for watching. See ya!